Hello, my name is Rafael, and I'm going to talk about Live Perl. This basically is a talk about the Perl plugin for Lighttable. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are how I got interested into it, and how you can use this for live programming, and if I have time, how it works. So what is live programming? To me, it's a combination of immediate evaluation and immediate feedback. So you write some code, it gets evaluated immediately, the result of the data comes back, it's immediate feedback. So you have a nice, tight feedback loop. So how did I get interested in this? I saw a video of a talk by Brett Victor a couple of years ago called Inventing on Principle. And in that talk, he was basically talking about how you would find a guiding principle for how you do your work. And so his principle was basically to give creators an immediate connection to what they're creating. And so he had many different examples of doing live programming, basically just immediately, whenever he touched something, something immediately would happen. So he had very good feedback with what he was doing. And so live programming was one of the main things that I was interested in that. And then a few years later, Chris Granger came out with Lighttable. Lighttable is an IDE that basically allows you to do that live coding. And it has a couple of different editors in it. So it's got Vim and Emacs. And so when that came out, he open sourced it. And he basically made it so that you could use Clojure, programming language Clojure, which is a variant of Lisp. And I was learning Clojure at that time, so I found it really easy to use Lighttable to learn Clojure, because you could just type in some simple expressions and the result would show up. So it was just very, again, a very tight feedback loop, so you could see what you were doing, and it was great. So when he open sourced it, he made it available so that you could write your own plugin. Initially, it was just Clojure and I think Python, but pretty much everybody started writing ones for Ruby and Groovy and Java, and I was really interested in because having this for Perl, so I wrote one for Perl. So let's see. So this is, so you basically do anything in here. You can just do like a hello world. And it just shows up. You can add some numbers. And they just show up. If you had some sort of a hash that you wanted to create, that just shows up. So a little bit more complex example is this one, where say you were wanting to find some elements of some HTML or XML. You could just simply start and you get a response back. If I wanted to find out how many elements there are, I got 2. If I wanted to see what one of them was, I've got a string. If I wanted to see what the text in there was, I could just do and I get hello. So it's just very immediate. You can just see what you're doing. So this version of the plugin uses a REPL-based backend. So one of the pitfalls of it is that things that are in blocks or loops or like that, you can't really dig into it, so you can't really see what's there. So if I were to evaluate this, I mean, you can see what the return value of the function call is, but you can't see anything inside of the subroutine. But otherwise, the environment is very helpful for doing simple exploratory programming. So since that was so limiting, I decided to write a newer version of the plugin that basically would allow you to see all the data. So, so this new version basically uses the Perl's debugger feature. And so I had to write a debugger that was able to grab all the data and then return it. So let's take a look at that.
Tell me what you knew about debug.
I looked at pretty much all the debuggers that were out there. So now I can get all the data inside. And so kind of a neat feature of this is that since I'm capturing all the data, and it's basically recording the whole execution trace, I have the whole history, so I can go back in time. And I can go back forward in time. So if I were, you know...
Are you doing that by forking the debugger or?
Because I'm recording all the data.
Oh, you're recording. Oh, so you can't go back in time execution and go back forward. You can go through history and then back.
Yes, I'm recording the whole history of the execution.
Do you know A-Wave?
Pardon?
A-Wave is this handle Brock. Brock has a debugger that he's written that is forking the debugger.
Uh-huh.
And so you fork the debugger, and then you're running that, and you fork the debugger, and then if you want to go back in time, you kill the child and you go back to the parent.
Is that EDB? Or HDB?
I don't know what he called it.
I remember seeing one which allowed you to go back a step, but it basically, it went back and recreated the debugging session, and then went...
No, this was literally, it was a debugger, forks, and it kept track of, you could kill your process and then you went back to the parent, kill your process, you went back to the parent. You're at the point in code where you forked. So you could actually go back in time and back forward.
Well, this is just recording the execution trace. But you can go back and forward because you have all the data.
But you can't go back and change something and
Right.
go forward. This could go back and forward.
Well, I mean, you could change something, reevaluate it, and then...
Yeah.
So it's similar, but... so
But you
let's...
have to reevaluate everything. So if you had an expensive operation,
Right.
you have to reevaluate. His doesn't have to reevaluate the expensive operation.
So, let's see. So the REPL-based one, it just basically captures all of the code that's in the editor, and it feeds it to a Perl module, which then uses PPI to parse it, and then it uses a devel REPL to evaluate each individual line, and then it returns that data. The newer debugger one basically sends the name of the file to this new debugger that I wrote, and it then launches kind of a client-server connection where it uses a socket in between them, and it steps through each line and capture. And then the server side looks at using Padwalker, records all the variables and sends them back. Any questions?
How do we get it? So it's like GitHub?
So you can get light table right here.
Right.
and you can get the plugin from this GitHub URL. But in Lighttable, it has a plugin manager. So you see right here, I've got it installed. But if you go to the available button, you can then type in the name, like Perl, and it would show up.
Oh, okay, so it's somehow.
It's built in.
Already,
Yeah.
What else have you built in? Aside from the plugins or the syntax highlighting?
It just basically does that. It, you mean like documentation or something?
Yeah, anything else the more intelligent editor features?
That's basically it. I would like to add something like, inline pod or something.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you had a pod view where you could see
Mhm.
the output of the pod, that would be
Mhm.
nice.
Has Lighttable become your primary editor, or are you still using your own?
For playing around with the stuff, yeah.
I mean,
It's,
it's a REPL on steroids, so you
Yeah.
can use a REPL, you'd rather use this.
I've never liked like creating watches in debuggers. It's always been kind of painful. Like, each variable you have to create one, and then and if you get out of it, get back in, then you have to create more watches. So,
How do loops work in this? So,
in the debugger version, or
yeah, and, either, well.
well, in the REPL one, it's just since you can't.
It just execute to the end, but I mean, what sort of, do you see the values changing? So if you had a counter and an I, so or J 1 to 10, and I plus plus, do you get to see I changing as it runs?
Yeah. See, I equals 2, I equals 3,
I dropped like a sleep in there so that it makes it.
I equals 4. Did you see that? Was that
Oh,
too,
yes.
was that too fast or?
No, okay, so yeah, I did see it changing.
So there's a little flaw here where on the 4 line, it's basically stuck to 2. It's a bug. It's very experimental, so.
Yeah.
I haven't pushed this to GitHub or anything, so.
The other things I'd like to see in that would be knowledge of the data structure that got returned so that you could expand and contract it.
Which data structure? Which data structure?
The data structure that gets returned on just the return value.
Being overall right.
If it's a int, yeah, it's just 1.
Mhm.
If it's a hash ref, now it's a hash ref, as opposed to just presenting the string, presenting the data structure so that you can go in and out of the row. So you got a hash with a hash with a hash,
Mhm.
as opposed to just getting a string, being able to say, okay, expand the hash out. Now I want to go to this level of the hash,
Mhm.
or I need to collapse all this so I can see just the keys I want to.
Okay.
Does that plugin architecture support any kind of interaction with those displays, or is it just purely a display area?
I think it's basically a display area, which is why I kind of, for this case, I just kind of threw it in there. But I mean, I'm sure you could hack it to do what,
You would have to probably change line table somewhat to make it able to have.
well, not Lighttable, just the plugin itself. You'd probably want to put click handlers there.
Oh, okay.
So you could,
Oh, so that's HTML.
this is just, yeah, it's JavaScript and HTML and CSS.
The thing there is, yes, you could put whatever you want in there.
Chris Granger built this in Node and Chrome.
Yeah, so yeah, you could easily build a tree structure
Mhm.
with CSS and then be able to navigate the return type.
Mhm.
That would be really useful. The example where you gave with the parsing the HTML, the XML,
Uh-huh.
that came out as just the string and dot, dot, dot.
Mhm.
But if that came back as a thing that you could interrogate, yeah, that one. that structure right there that you, oh no, well, that's the string, but when you parse that,
Mm-hmm.
what it returns is an object that contains other data structures. So is what's happening there the fact that, what's the class that you've got there? Is the
Pardon?
Mojo DOM has a string conversion, if the object's in a string.
Right, that's why it does
Yeah,
this.
that's why it's doing that, right,
Mhm.
so, that was my other question. What happens when you run the want array? So create a function that just says want, my want is equal to want array.
It should do anything that Perl does. I mean, it's just
Well,
about.
I want to make certain that it's not changing the context of the thing that's executed in the void context. It would have to be want array without something equal to it. So just want array on its own line.
Oh, just want to array on its own line?
Yeah, on a function. That should return undef. Because it's in void context.
You mean like this?
It would have to be within, can you run want array when you're outside of the function? Does it actually happen? Let's see what happens. Do you need a semicolon? So, yes, that is broken.
This is the devel REPL.
Right. So the devel REPL one is broken. What about the one that's your debugger?
Let's see.
What's happening is it's executing things in void context, I mean in list context that are supposed to be in void context, which could cause alternate behavior if somebody has used want array to do alternate behavior.
So, want array result is unspecified.
So that just gave a check mark.
Mm-hmm. It's probably still like a bug or something, because this version is very experimental.
Could you put that in a sub and call
Pardon?
the sub? Could you put that in a sub and then call the sub? Because in the top level of the code, it doesn't have, it's not guaranteed what it will. Yeah, perfect. Well, if you say my return is equal to, now it's going to be zero. Yeah, it will be in scalar context. It has to be in void context that triggers the data we're talking about. But it still doesn't say anything about what. So that returned one.
How do you get it to run and execute all that stuff? I mean,
Pardon?
I got the plugin installed, but how do you get it to execute each one?
You mean how to,
My table.
to do the live programming?
Yeah, how do you,
There's a, when you do control space,
right?
and you type in Perl, the first option should be toggle insta-REPL mode.
Is the debugger version also part of the same plugin?
No, I've been hacking on a different copy, but I intend to integrate it back in and have like an option where you could toggle between a REPL version or debugger version. I might have like a little button on the screen so it's easier to access.
So actually what we could do is say in foo, my want is equal to want array. And then if not defined foo, return the string void. Else if it's equal to 0, return the string scalar. Else if, or just else, return true. That way we'll be able to list. So assign want array to a variable and then look at it, and if it's undef, return the string void. If it's 0, return the string scalar. If it's
So,
1, then return the string array. And that'll tell us whether or not want array is performing properly in this environment.
well, this is just the debugger. So,
Right, well, but it's in this environment. I don't remember, it should be returning undef if it's in void context.
mhm.
Just get it working.
Pardon?
It's still not working. I mean,
Your version, you
I got the plugin. It's, you know, I've not seen
Oh, you can either get out of it and get back in.
I might not load the plugin.
Well, the other thing to do is you would want to click on, reload behaviors and stuff, but it's probably just easier just to get back out and get back in. Any other questions? All right. Thanks.